How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Before we even get started in this video, I want to say this is not a fear-mongering video. I'm not trying to cause fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I am trying to do the opposite of that. The market right now reminds me a lot of the March market in a couple different ways. And I'll hit on that, but just know off the bat, whenever I talk about videos like this, it seems like a lot of people give me a hard time. I'm not saying that the stock market is crashing like crazy, but there are certain stocks, there are certain sectors that are crashing right now. A crash is defined as 20% down, and there are a lot of stocks that have crashed, and that is just fact right now. So I want to talk to you about what I'm doing in this market right now, because this is when you make or break your accounts. This is where you make large amounts of money or you lose a lot of money. So let's talk about it. Before we get started, if you guys don't mind hitting the like button, I really appreciate that. Also, there is a link down there to BlockFi in case you want interest rate on your cryptocurrency, and a link down there to WeBull in case you want 2 free stocks. You can get those there. They're also giving a bunch of other bonuses, so sign up down there, deposit $100, and there's a link down there to my Patreon to see exactly what I'm buying and selling in real time. So the markets are near all-time highs. Of course, today we're down about 1% in each of the indexes, but this is not what's scary about the market right now. These aren't scary. What's scary is the growth sector, is the SPAC sector. These stocks have consistently sold off for months. I'm not even going to get into penny stocks, which are the same thing, just more drastic. And this is reminding me a lot about last year in March. So let's take a look. GHVI, merging with Matterport, is down 51%. IPOE is down significantly because they're up at $26. They're down 42%. STPK is down about 54%. SFTW is down, and they are down under net asset value. They were up about $15. Now they're down about 34%. And the only reason they're stopping is because they're at that net asset value. So we're actually having some of these companies come out with good news, and they're still falling day after day, day after day. They pop up a little bit and then they keep on falling. They pop up and then they keep on falling. Now, the reason I say this reminds me of last year in March and April is we saw the stock market obviously sell off a lot. However, at that time, the whole market was selling off. And I remember sitting on the sidelines in early March, because it really started, February 20th? And I was sitting on the sidelines in early March. I was invested, but in index funds. And I thought, man, some of these stocks are falling irrationally. They're falling 10, 20, 30% a day. I remember a day that REITs were down 50% plus. Like all of REITs seemed to be falling 50% plus. And at that time, there was a lot of fear. And the reason for that was because of the pandemic, of the virus. That was a very different set of circumstances than we're in right now. Right now, we have a lot of fear and uncertainty and doubt about these growth stocks, about these SPAC stocks, but it's not necessarily based in fear of something external like some massive pandemic. It's based on hedge funds. They're deleveraging. They had a lot of margin. Now they're selling off some of their positions. It's in rotation plays. People think that the economy is going to open up, and they think that these stocks aren't going to be the best ones to invest in. They're fearful about inflation. They're fearful about a lot of things. Now, these companies are trading for about half what they were before, and some of them were based solely on hype. Let's be honest. There are some stocks, there are some companies that really didn't have any reason to be as high as they were. I mean, even if we look at something like CCIV, which was up at $65 a share. Now it's in around $18 a share. That was probably a little bit too high. Can we agree on that? Because that was at a market cap that put it among some of the largest companies in the world at that time. And they don't even have a car on the road. So right now we're seeing a lot of these companies sell off. And the reason it reminds me of last year is some of these companies are going to be great companies. Some of them, and not as many in the SPAC space, I should say. There are a handful in the SPAC space, but some outside of the SPAC space that are in the growth sectors, they're going to produce massive numbers. like CLSK stock. They are set to be one real powerhouse in Bitcoin mining, in my opinion, and that's not the point of this video, but they've come down 57%, and they're getting cheaper every single day, but their revenue is going to be massive over the next year, over the next 2 years. I mean, we're looking at them potentially having a 3 price to sales ratio, and this is a very profitable business. So while they're growing 20x revenues a year by next year, they might have a lot of that hitting their bottom line. This seems irrational to me. A lot of these other stocks seem irrational to me. And that's where I know that there's a lot of fear. I know that there's a lot of hurt right now because we're seeing stocks go down. They come up a little bit. You invest a little bit more because you think this is the uptrend, and then it falls down more. And then it goes back up and it falls down more. We thought March was going to be the end of this pain, right? Where we saw March lows. But since then, it's come back up and then it's fallen down. So I understand that. It sucks. They keep on falling down. Everyone that's watching is excited and then they fall down. Of course, there are certain exceptions, right? Like Bitcoin and Ethereum have done really well over the last couple months still. Even though they're off their highs by maybe 5 to 10%, they're still doing really well. But even some of the related stocks to Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're coming out with good news, and yet they're still selling off even though Bitcoin and Ethereum are going up. Like CLSK has come down, like I said, about 57% since January, and Bitcoin's doubled since then, and they've had a lot of good news in the meantime. So there's a lot of irrationality. Now, what am I doing? Well, I'm going to consistently add. I know that it hurts. I know that it kind of sucks, but I've talked about the importance of cash on the sidelines. I've made that very clear in a lot of my portfolio videos. I've made it very clear that I take smaller, more diversified positions in the meantime with a lot of different stocks. I'm not going and putting 10% of my portfolio in CLSK or SFTW or GHVI or any of these, even Tesla. I'm not putting 10% of my portfolio in it. Now, if you don't have cash, if you can't add to these positions, maybe take a step back. I'm not saying stop watching the market. I'm saying take a step back. Think about this 5 years from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, whatever you want to think about. Do you imagine these companies will be sitting at the same price they are now? No, right? If you wake up and you saw that pre-market a stock fell down and then came back up before you even looked at it, does that really hurt? No. Well, this isn't exactly the same because you're watching it day after day, but the end result is the same. In the long run, it won't matter as long as you're picking the good stocks. So right now, we're not having to pay as much for these stocks, but we're not getting the pat on the back after we invest that's saying, great job, now that here's an extra 5%, which makes it harder to invest in the future. I remember for months, I was buying so many different stocks because I would buy one and it'd go up 20, 30% in a few days. And I couldn't build out any position, which is fine. But now I'm building out a lot of my positions, right? I haven't been buying a lot of new stocks because there are so many discounts in the stocks that I've already done a lot of research on. So in the long run, I think this will be better. I think there's some irrationality in the market, and I think you will be rewarded if you pick out good stocks that are down significantly right now. This is where money is made. If you go back to March, there aren't too many people that felt like they put too much money in the market. That might be similar to where we are now. If we look back a year from now, will we feel like we put too much money into some of these growth stocks? I don't think so. Now, of course, you've got to pick out the good ones. Of course, there are a lot of stocks that are just crap in the growth market, and that's the case of a lot of stocks in general. Thank you for hitting the like button. If you guys want to see my video on SafeMoon, which is a really interesting crypto that's blowing up right now. Like it's got more people interested in it than Dogecoin, and you maybe have never even heard of it. I'll put it on the end screen here. It's blowing up. Also, there is that link down below to BlockFi and to WeBull. Thank you for checking those out, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.